Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, welcome to the 9th International Conference on Second Language Studies, which is going to be held in June 11th, God willing. My name is Muhammad Abdulwahab Aziz, and I am a lecturer at Salahaddin University, College of Education, English Department in Erbil, Kurdistan, the north part of Iraq. And my co-researcher, Mr. Rizgar Qasim Mahmood, from University of Wollongong, Australia. Today, our presentation is entitled Effects of Explicit Written Corrective Feedback on Subject-Verb Agreement among Kurdish EFL students, which is a longitudinal study at Salahaddin University, Erbil. This presentation is done by both me, Muhammad Abdulwahab Aziz, this is me on the right, and Mr. Rizgar Qasim Mahmood. The picture is shown on the left side. Now we have a short biography, as can be seen here. So, the introduction, in the introduction, our research is about giving corrective feedback in writing classes. In other words, the importance or the significance of corrective feedback, especially written corrective feedback in SLA writing. The importance of SLA corrective feedback in writing is highly focused, emphasized in the literature. It has the role in drawing learners' attention to linguistic errors and improving writing proficiency. Also, corrective feedback can serve as means to draw learners' attention to grammar errors. It also promotes language development, and it overall improves the writing proficiency. Actually, there is an ongoing debate regarding the effectiveness and optimal types of CF. There are two types of corrective feedback as discussed in the literature, which are direct and indirect, or we can say explicit and implicit. Well, which one to give to the students is the focus of much debate in the literature. If we go back to the previous slide in the literature, yeah. The examples given here tell us the definition of CF, correct feedback, or CF as defined by Rodran, 1988, any teacher behavior following an error that minimally attempts to inform the learner of the fact of error. Also, here we want to look at the effect of corrective feedback or written corrective feedback on students' subject-verb agreement proficiency. So, subject-verb agreement means the rule of grammar in English language, where the subject usually agrees or matches with the verb used in a sentence. So, again, correct feedback, as I said earlier, it's highlighted, the importance of CF is highlighted in the literature because it facilitates interaction and negotiating of meaning. Ferris 2012 emphasizes the significance of written correct feedback in improving grammatical accuracy. Yes, but Truscott advocates for the selective error correction approach. So he's with the idea that selected grammar errors should be addressed in students' writing. Written corrective feedback has been named differently in the literature, or it has also two types, but the names of the types are named differently in the previous studies. Explicit and implicit, if we go back to the previous one, explicit and implicit, as can be seen here. Explicit, that means giving the correct linguistic forms for the learner's errors, while implicit, which is also indirect, is using symbols to indicate where the error was made. Also, they are called comprehensive and selective. Comprehensive is used for explicit, and selective is used for implicit. They are just different names. There are a lot of studies and investigations that support the idea of explicit written corrective feedback to address subject-verb agreement inaccuracies by the students. So these are some examples of studies, previous studies done to investigate the effectiveness of these two types of corrective feedback. According to these studies, actually, explicit corrective feedback is more advantageous or is more effective than implicit corrective feedback. And the use of explicit corrective feedback increased students' grammatical accuracy and proficiency. This kind of study, this kind of investigation is very rare in our context, which is EFL Kurdish context. So that's why there is need for research in my context, in Kurdish EFL context, to see the effects of written corrective feedback, especially explicit written corrective feedback on students' grammar proficiency. The study, actually, in my context, as I said, there are limited studies conducted in this regard. The participants of this research, they are Kurdish EFL learners. They have been studying English for over 4 decades, but yet they have inaccuracies in grammar, in grammatical patterns. And for our study, we have chosen subject-verb agreement. Actually, more studies need to be conducted to investigate the corrective feedback, especially written corrective feedback on Kurdish EFL learners' grammatical and writing accuracy. Hence, our research seeks to answer the following research questions. First one is, to what extent are Kurdish EFL learners aware of written corrective feedback? The second research question is, to what extent do Kurdish EFL learners utilize the given written corrective feedback when they receive it from their writing instructors? The third and the final research question is that, does explicit written corrective feedback have any significant effect on the grammatical accuracy of Kurdish EFL learners in terms of SVA. Yeah. To conduct our research, we have used mixed method approach, and we have involved 60 third stage EFL undergraduate students at Salahuddin University, English Department, College of Education. We have divided these 60 junior students into two groups. The experimental group is 30 students. This group receives explicit written correct feedback on subject-verb agreement for 5 weeks. The other group, control group, is also 30 students. They only receive implicit feedback without correction on SVA errors. Data collection through questionnaires and pre and post tests were collected to see these effects. Now, the results actually were like this. The participants' perception toward grammar instruction is that most participants believed that grammar instruction is essential for mastering writing skills. Although they also expressed their dislike for studying grammar, but they recognize its importance, as can be seen in the numbers and statistics here. And the majority of the participants indicated that they keep grammar rules in mind when writing tasks. These results are driven from the questionnaire questions. We also asked students of their perceptions of written correct feedback, whether they know any information about it. Based on the results achieved, not all the participants were familiar with written correct feedback, as can be seen from the statistics. But in the meantime, the majority of them considered it important or very important to have their errors corrected by the instructors. We also asked them whether they prefer explicit or implicit. Actually, most of the participants preferred explicit written correct feedback over the implicit type. The results from the pre-test and post-test statistics will be presented by my co-researcher, Mr. Rizgar.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed, for this great presentation. I'll be continuing with the results. So between the pre-test and the post-test, we try to investigate either if the difference is significant or not. The experimental group, as you mentioned, received explicit corrective feedback, while the control group received implicit corrective feedback. The results indicated that, and also we found that corrective feedback was effective in improving participants' writing accuracy in terms of subject-verb agreement. And the statistical result shows that, which is the p-value for that is 0.26, which is less than 0.5, and the difference is significant.
Yeah. Back to the discussion. Based on the research questions we had 3 research questions. The first research question, as we mentioned earlier, concerned the extent to which Kurdish EFL learners are aware of WCF. The results revealed that the majority of the participants recognized the importance of grammar instructions, but they also preferred WCF from the teacher. They recognized the importance of grammar, although they expressed their dislike of grammar instruction. The research question number 2, the results revealed that while not all the participants were familiar with the concept of CF, the majority considered it important or very important for their instructors to correct errors in their writing. This aligns with the expectations that learners generally anticipate feedback on their written work. This was discussed in the literature. Participants, if we just go back to the research question number 2, participants exhibited a clear preference for explicit written correct feedback. This preference is aligned with previous research suggesting the effectiveness of explicit feedback in promoting language accuracy, as was also established in the literature. The research question number 3, these findings provide evidence for the effectiveness of explicit written correct feedback in improving participants' writing accuracy in terms of subject-verb agreement. The finding of this study is aligned with previous research, highlighting the positive impact of explicit WCF on learners' grammatical accuracy. The use of explicit feedback is accompanied by detailed explanation of errors, appears to have contributed to the participants improving in writing accuracy. So in other words, what we have found out in our research is in line with what has been discussed in the literature review. Yeah. The implications, dear Mr. Rizgar, would you please?
Yeah, so there are some implications from our research. The first implication is for instructors. It means that the importance of the research is that it emphasizes grammar instruction, even maybe not liked by all the students. The second one is providing explicit corrective feedback, preferred and effective in improving accuracy, specifically in writing accuracy. The third one for instructors and teachers is that they have to tailor corrective feedback types to their learners' needs and to ensure that the students and the learners understand the receiving corrective feedback. The last one here for instructors is to encourage students to review and correct their errors after they receive it, not only just receiving, they have to correct it. In terms of theoretical contributions, it has some implications. For example, it informs teaching methods in EFL contexts. That is, corrective feedback is important and plays a vital role in EFL context as well. Second one, it highlights students' preferences for written corrective feedback in terms of explicit or implicit types. The third one contributes to the discussion on the importance of explicit written corrective feedback. And the other implication is that it informs the development of teaching materials aligned with students' needs in order to develop future materials for learners in different contexts, specifically in EFL contexts.
Yes.
We have also some suggestions for future and further research, such as future research could expand the sample size, as we had only 60 participants in our study, to include diverse language backgrounds and to ensure generalizability. Future research could expand the sample size and include, we said that. The findings of this research could have been more comprehensible if the writing teachers' perspectives were also considered by using questionnaire or interview. And these are some of the selected references we used in our research. And thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much for your attention and for your patience and time. Thank you very much.